This webinar is going to highlight our number 3 website flipper on Flippin-Wannabe. Now that website flipper is moi. So I'm going to show you exactly what I do to get my sites ready for Flippa. I'm going to show you the kinds of sales page templates that I use, and we're going to go into some in-depth study of the types of models that I use for my website flips. Now I'm using Flippa Stats again, so it brings up all my information very easily without having to go out and find all this information on Flippa, which Flippa is good. The problem is there's a whole lot of data to basically go through to find the information that you're looking for if you're doing research on a particular seller. Now, I brought up all of my auctions, my recent auctions, and as you can see, all of them have revenue except for 2. So what I did here was I basically put up 2 auctions just to kind of test the waters for no traffic and no revenue. And one sold for $347 and the other sold for $147. Now you can see my listings right here. Let's just go ahead and click on one of the listings and we'll just show you. Okay, this is one of my products, sold for $1,700. It only had one bid, but that's all I needed, and that's all you need if you're going to use this model. Now this site was making about $346 a month. Now here's the thing that Flippa does, and I don't think it's either bad or good. It's just one of the things you have to be aware of. When you do your listing, it's going to ask you for your revenue over a period of time, and it goes all the way back to the registration date of the website. So you're going to have a number of months. Let's say you're, in this case, this goes all the way back to December of last year. You're going to have a number of months that may not have any revenue or have little to no revenue. So what I did when I first launched out the site, of course, I ran paid traffic to the site, made all kinds of money, and then it dropped down. And during these months of May through about July, I really didn't do any heavy promotion. And then July I did another promotion, popped back up, and then dropped down in August, or dropped down in September. Now here's the interesting thing that Flippa does to figure out their revenue, and it says 3-month average. They take the last 3 months of the revenue and they average it out to give you an average monthly revenue. So if we'd taken the first 3 months from January through March, obviously our gross revenue model would have been a lot higher, but Flippa takes the last 3 months. So when you're flipping your sites, just keep that in mind, that your graph may look kind of ugly if you don't have any sales on the tail end of the site, or when you're going to actually list the site. So for example, the site took off, and for the first 3, 4, 5, 6 months or so, it made all kinds of revenue. Then it may started to die out. You may have not promoted it, or whatever the reason is. If you get to the last 3 months and you have little to no revenue, that's what Flippa is going to show for the gross revenue model, little to no revenue, even though when the site first launched out it was making good revenue. And there's a number of things that you can do in your sales copy to kind of overcome this maybe negative connotation in the graph, and that is, I didn't have enough time to promote it, and the site really needs somebody to do the promotion on it. I've already proven the model, it makes money, so on and so forth, things like that you can put in your sales copy to maybe entice someone to bid on your auction. The graph, it's a picture, and pictures have much more impact than words on a sales page. Let me tell you, they take a look at this, and this is a negative connotation. You've got this big dive off of close to over $3,000, and then it drops down and it doesn't do anything for a while, and then pops back up, and so instead of, and the site actually made I think total of about $7,000 or $8,000, but of course you're not going to get that because people are looking at what is it doing right now. So maybe a good model would be to launch out a site And the way Flippin does their auctions, you can't really report revenue until the site's a couple of months old. So launch out your site, make revenue, drive paid traffic to the site for the first 2 or 3 months, then list the site if you're going to list it, and you'll have a good revenue model. So it'll be fairly consistent over a 3-month period. Now the opposite, the negative of that is going to be the site doesn't have an extended runway. In other words, it's only been around for 2 or 3 months. So that's going to have a little bit of a negative. But let me tell you, this graph, diving off this cliff and doing this flat line right here is a big negative. So, I was very happy to get the $1,700 out of the site. Now, it's a great money-making site. All someone has to do is promote it. And the person I sold it to, I showed them exactly what to do to promote the site. So here's basically my model. Just bring up Flippin' Stats again. I produce my own products. I'm a product producer. I produce my own products. I'll do my own websites. I'll get those products on those websites making money, and then I'll put them out on Flippin' and sell them. The reason I do that is because I don't like the long-term holding of a site. I don't like the maintenance of a site. I don't like the month-to-month hanging on to the site. Now, I'm starting to kind of change my thinking a little bit and try some other things, like holding on some sites and doing some a little bit more promotion long term. But as a general rule, I kind of got burned out in 2008, 2009. I had over 500 sites. They were all WordPress sites, and the maintenance was just a killer. It was, me, myself, and I in my business, and I could not maintain that amount of sites. They were all AdSense and affiliate sites. They were basically eBay, Amazon, and AdSense sites, but I just couldn't keep up with the maintenance required. So I just started, selling them off, getting rid of them. The sites that had income were making really good money. Instead of keeping them, I got rid of them. And so that's kind of been my model. I'll get something earning, and then I'll flip it for the cash and pull the cash out of it. Okay, so your model may be to promote and hold, and that's perfectly fine. You just have to pick a model and then stick with it. My model is a little bit different. Get a site earning, show some revenue, and then go ahead and stick it on Flippin' and sell it to a new owner that is going to love it, take care of it, let it grow, do all kinds of promotions, and absolutely love the site and make some money off of it. Now, as you can see, Flippin' Stats will give you the revenue multiples. Now, because these revenue figures are the last 3 months, they may be construed or be tweaked in a way that, as we just talked about earlier, that you may have all kinds of revenue at the front end of the site when you really did heavy promotion. In the back end, not so much. So we get a revenue model of 5 times, 2 times, 1 times. This was kind of a strange deal here. This site had all kinds of front-end money, and it was doing really well. It's an excellent plugin. Had lots of traction, 43 bids. It just didn't go anywhere. It didn't get to the buy it now. I think the buy it now was $1,500, $2,000 or whatever. Good graph. You see it takes off and it just goes up. It's not very old. The site was launched in August of this year, so didn't have a whole lot of traction as far as longevity. Hadn't been around that long. But look at the Alexa. It's 575,000. The site was getting massive traction, getting a lot of traffic, and it was doing really well in sales. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, it just didn't take off. You see the gross monthly revenue, $730 a month, and that's a real figure. That is not inflated, and the site only fetched $500. But hey, the site made a couple of grand, $2,500, I think, in total sales, something like that. So to me, it's a winner. You can't go broke making a profit, but it didn't have a great multiple for for the revenue. All right, if we take a look at all of our bids, we'll see that I don't get a whole lot of bids on these sites, but I do sell them. So 1 bid, 2 bids. Of course, the site I just showed you, 43 bids. And let me kind of go over that model a little bit more in depth. Now, how this site got just tons and tons of bids is I use a technique that I talked about in one of my other courses, my site flipping courses, where I actually start at $1 bid with no reserve. So, well, actually the reserve is $1. You can't set a no reserve on Flippa. So $1 reserve, $1 starting bid. So you're going to get tons and tons of traffic off of people thinking they're going to be able to basically snipe the site out from underneath you and get it for next to nothing. Why this is such a great technique, especially on a site that has proven revenue, is someone else is not going to let you grab the site out from underneath them if they want to, if they want that site. So you're going to get a lot more traction on your auction. You're going to get a lot more people bidding on your auction, and you're going to get a lot more competitive bids. Now, that's the theory behind that, and I've proven that over and over again. Now, it is a little risky. The risk comes from the point of view that I put my site out, it's only $1, somebody bids $1, it automatically goes green, which means you have to sell it. You're obligated to sell it because now they've met the reserve. $1 bid, $1 reserve, so they met the reserve, so that site is going to go. You want it to move. You want it to move for a price point that you have in your head, right? The problem is the number you have in your head and the number that the buyers have in their heads could be worlds apart. So you just kind of have to figure out what the marketplace is demanding. If your site has made a lot of money, whether it might be reasonable to keep it for a little bit longer and run that income model out for a few more months, or if you want the instant cash or need the money right now, flip it, get the cash in your pocket, and just forget about it. Just move on. Don't live in the past thinking, well, I could have got this. I'm saying all of that about these sites. I should have got a little bit more, or I was hoping to get a little bit more, but I'm not emotionally tied to these sites. So I basically build my site out and it makes revenue. I put it on Flip and I flip it. The site's gone. It's not something that I feel like I've birthed it and I've got to raise it. Okay, a lot of people feel that way. They're emotionally tied to their sites, and it's very difficult for them to cut that site loose. They put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that site getting it going. I don't feel that way. That's not my model. So you have to kind of figure out what your personality is are you really going to take an emotional beating if you don't get the price that you want for your site? It's a lot like selling a house. I've done a lot of real estate deals. I've sold millions of dollars of real estate. I was actually a real estate agent at one time, and of course I was an engineer, a hardware engineer in Silicon Valley, security network engineer, and we bought property. I never made it really big as far as hitting a company to go public. All my friends hit. They became millionaires with the stock deals and everything. I never got into a company, was able to do that. I made some pretty good stock deals, but I never hit millions of dollars because my stock vested and I got $3 or $4 million lump sum off of the stock. I bought real estate, and I bought real estate in San Francisco Bay Area, and I bought apartment buildings, and I bought duplexes and houses. And what I found was this: many people selling property have the same mindset as people selling virtual property or websites. They're emotionally invested in that property. They think that house or that property is worth much more than it actually is. And you can run comps on the property. If you've never bought real estate, then you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you bought real estate, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Run comps on the property, pull comps from the local area. You can show a seller what houses or what properties are selling for in their immediate neighborhood. Show them recent sales. And if they're not even on the same planet as far as price, you're never going to talk them down. They're going to have a come to Jesus meeting or something where they finally realize that their house is not worth what they think it's worth. If they want to sell it, they're going to have to adjust their price, and they're going to have to adjust their thinking. Well, it's the same way here on these kinds of deals or these kinds of flips. You're going to have to adjust your thinking. If you're emotionally invested in your site, you just can't let it go. Hold on to it. Keep pouring paid traffic to it. Have it continue to generate revenue, or whatever you want to do. Build up your your sites. Get 50 sites, 100 sites, whatever it is. It doesn't really matter. The point I'm trying to make is, if you are thinking about flipping sites, then you cannot be emotionally invested in your sites. You have to put them out here. You have to sell them. You have to let them go. Okay, I just wanted to say that. Now that's a big problem. A lot of people don't talk about that in website flipping, but that is a major problem that people have with letting their sites go. They are emotionally invested in that site. They know how much work and effort it took to build it, and they just can't sell it for, let's say, a price that is not in their own head. All right, so having said that, I'm off my soapbox now, getting back to the actual webinar. Okay, so we showed the technique of the $1 bids. Look at this. I wanted to show you some interesting things. You know, here's some sellers. They're already suspended. This guy that bid, account closed. You know, this guy right here banned, and yet they bid on my auction. So let me just share one thing with you here. There's a lot of granola buyers on Flippa, and what I mean by granola buyers is there's fruits, nuts, and flakes that are going to be bidding on your sites. I approve all of my bidders manually, and as you can see, even though I approved them, they had some really good stats. Look at this, bid on 27 listings from 23 sellers. You wouldn't think that this seller would be a flake, but they are. They ended up getting suspended for whatever reason. They didn't pay Flippa for a sale, or they had a dispute. We could go over here and kind of see. It's usually a dispute lost. You'll see one dispute lost, and they got buyer didn't response to the payment done. So anyway, the account's currently suspended, so they have an issue. They don't have a lot of traction. They only had one bid. This guy Harry Nguyen, his account was closed. I could tell this guy was a flake right out of the chute. 3 disputes lost. The guy's permanently banned, and we can take a look at our messages here. This guy had a running dialogue with me. So you just have to be aware of what's going on and who's bidding on your sites. Now, I let most people, like on this particular auction, I started out with $1 bids. I take any bidder at that lower price point because I'm not worried about selling it at a $1 or $2 or $3, especially a site that's making money. It's going to go for more than that. So I let some of the flakes bid on the site. Now, when it gets up to a higher price point, $200, $300, $400 or whatever, I don't allow them to bid, and I'll get some kind of feedback from them or message saying, how come I was bidding earlier and now you won't let me bid? And I simply say, that I basically have cut them off because they have. I've got some reservations about them bidding. Nothing personal. It's just strictly business. If they have no feedback, if they joined yesterday, they don't have any transactions, then I'm not going to let them bid on the higher price point. Okay, so this guy sends me, let's see, go down here. Okay, so he goes, how much for the buy it now, bro? And is your registrar name cheap? Okay, the first giveaway that this guy's a flake is he's calling me bro. I don't know this guy from Adam. So all of a sudden, my red flags go off. It's like the guy's getting real familiar. He's not a business person. He's just, somebody that's cruising the net happened to fall across my auction. Okay, so very informal language. Always keep that in mind. Who is bidding on your auction? If they sound like they're a teenager, or their mom just left the house to go grocery shopping and they jumped on the computer and now they're going crazy, just keep that in mind. Who's bidding on your auction? Where are they coming from? What part of the country? How much traction do they have on Flippa? And keep that in mind. When you click on accepting their bid, you're basically obligating yourself to this person. If they flake out on you and don't pay for your auction, you're going to get your money back. You're not going to lose your money on Flippa, but you'll have to wait a little while, and it is a little bit aggravating when these people flake out and don't pay you. Okay, so I rejected his bid. So he tells, he goes, hey, why did you reject my bid, man? And so I put down here, hey, you're new on Flippa. Plus, I see you lost a dispute. So I'm saying I don't accept bids from bidders with issues like that. And so then he goes into this thing, hey, it's not even like that. I'm new on here, but I didn't know, blah, blah, blah. And so he basically then hits me up and he goes, hey, hit me up on Skype. And he gives me his telephone number, which is very interesting. I don't usually get that. So call me. And here's the thing that was pretty intriguing for me anyway. It's a 510 area code. It's the old area that I used to be responsible for in the Bay Area when I was a network security engineer. It's the East Bay, so it's Fremont, it's Oakland, it's all of the East Bay, city of Hayward. I know that area very well because I was a network security engineer and that was my territory. So when he puts down, I'm in the 510 area code, okay, he hooked me. So I give him a call. And guess what? It didn't roll over. It didn't pick up. There was no answer. So then he goes, hey, yeah, my phone isn't really a phone. It's a texting number. Text me. And I'm going, okay, super flake. So it just solidified my idea that this guy was just coming out of left field. And guess what? He was. Because now we see later on that he's completely banned. We go back to that auction. Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. Go back to this auction and we see, you know, that he is, as far as a bidder, he's just totally banned and suspended, account closed. So, you know, it just goes to show you that my instincts were correct on this person, and I didn't accept any bids from him. And then he got into this rolling dialogue, which I tried to go ahead. I gave him a chance. I gave him an opportunity, and obviously he's flaky. So anyway, I hope that that is a real good example of showing you what kind of people are in Flippa. Don't be scared of people bidding on your auctions. I just want to make you aware of what kind of people are bidding on your auctions. It's still the Wild West out there on Flippa, and you get like I say, granola people bidding on your auctions. You just have to be careful. And as you can see, you know, there were like 3 or 4 that have been suspended and account closed and so on and so forth, and banned, you know, and they have some traction. There's just no way to figure out who's going to end up, you know, being a loser after a period of time. But the great thing about Flippa is this: they're getting rid of these people, and they're not allowing them to come back in. They have all kinds of ways of making sure that they don't register again with the new name. They're checking IPs, and they're doing phone verifications and all that kind of stuff. So that's just you know, that's just the environment that we're in with internet marketing. Okay, so I got a legitimate buyer. This person bought the site for $500, and you know, they just ended up buying another site, spent about $700 on that. So, you know, one really good bidder I made over $1,000 on, and that other site I sold. It was not on Flippa. It was a private sale. So, you know, they're out there. There are good buyers out there. They have cash. They want good sites. They're willing to spend money on good products. So, you know, I'm just letting you know that they're out there. Don't be scared. Jump in and get your feet wet, and you'll be able to make lots of money on Flippa if you just follow exactly what I'm doing and the other 2 sellers, what they're doing. Pick a model, build some sites, put them out on Flippa, and take a chance. And I think you'll be surprised at how much money you can make. And it's fairly easy money, as I showed in the last 2 examples. These people there's nothing that they're doing that you can't do, and they're making tons of money. One of them, $7,000 a month. Now remember, when you decide to jump in and put your sites on Flippa to sell, make sure that your sales page is compelling. So in other words, use examples from buyers that are trending. So the 3 examples that I gave you, seller 1, seller 2, and myself, use examples from our sales pages because we're making money selling sites on Flippa. Don't copy our sales pages verbatim. Just make a mental note, or take the site sales page and pull out the stuff that you think is going to work for you, rewrite it, and make it your own sales page. And then once you have a sales page, I make a number of templates. Every time I do a different site sale, I'll make a template, an HTML template, and I'll have that template ready that I can launch out, and then I won't have to completely rewrite the sales page from scratch. For example, I'm doing an auction right now. Let's go over to that auction. And I have a simple site. This may look familiar, this particular product here, World of Warcraft. The site itself, the theme, is one of the themes from Scott Inman's inventory. This is one of the themes that I was talking about earlier that you can pick up for $1.70. And one of the sellers that I highlighted in this particular product that we're talking about here in Flippin-Wannabe, I showed you a seller that's selling those sites for $100, $200 or more. Okay, now I put the site out. I've added some unique selling props on it. This is an age domain. It's got 276,000 inbound links. I've got 6 bids on it. I started out at $1. Now, this site has a little bit of traffic and no revenue. So this is risky because I started out at $1 and dollar reserve. So now it's green. It's at $22. It does have 25 hours to go. So there's plenty of time for someone to make a move on this, and I do have a lot of activity. 491 views and 11 watchers. So I've got some traction on the site, and I've got a lot of buy it now bonuses. Backup Buddy, Display Buddy, WP Auto Poster, which is my plugin, WP Robot, my security plugin, WP Padlock, and then DigiLink Doctor. So a lot of over $650 in real bonuses. So what I say here is this is not some junky ebooks or PLR. These are plugins. They have a real world value. That's the retail value. If these people were to go out and buy these plugins, they'd spend $650 for them. They get them with this particular site. Now, I haven't got a whole lot of comments on here, and I didn't expect a whole lot of comments. I've got a lot of eyes on this site. So I've got to buy it now at $297. I'm expecting to get this. I guess we'll see in another 24 hours if we get there. But the site is the theme is one of the themes that one of the other people are basically using. I think it was the number 2 webinar on this series of the Flippin-Wannabe. I think they're using these themes from Scott, and they're just flat cleaning up. So the theme is great. Like I say, this is a Google page rank 1. It's an AdSense ClickBank auto blog, 267,000 backlinks, lots of listing views, and so we'll see when we get down to the wire where this site goes. But as you can see, you just have to get out there and try it. You just have to try one. And like I said, sites that have income, sites that have revenue and traffic will always sell on Flippa. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this series. I hope you learned something from these 3 case studies. And now you can hopefully take a little bit more care, get some confidence together, and get some sites that you want to sell, or maybe you have a bunch of domains you want to get rid of. Build some sites around them, stick them out on Flippa, and I hope you make tons of money selling your sites. It's a great place to sell sites. There's thousands of people looking at sites every day, and they're looking for high quality sites. If you build a high quality site, you'll have buyers that will buy your products. All right, I want to thank you for investing in this case study. I want to thank you for watching this last webinar, and I hope you make tons of money flipping sites on Flippa. Thanks for watching.